Hello, my friends. I'm Leona Dooley, and welcome to Ebony Ivy Thyme. And you know what? Today, I'm coming back from the farmer's market. So I wanted to share with you some of the things that I picked up. First of all, I picked up some of these North Carolina grapes. Oh my God, they are so good. So I'm going to rinse one off and give it a taste, because these are the grapes that wine's made from in North Carolina and South Carolina. The thing about these grapes, they're tart, skins are tough, but they make the best wine. And did I say they have big seeds? Yes, they do. But they are so good. That's the fun part about going to the farmer's market. You just never know what you're going to find. Hello, friends. After my trip to the farmer's market, I picked up some delicious grapes. And they're Muscadine grapes that are grown pretty much in North Carolina, South Carolina. And oh my goodness, they make delicious wine. Well, I thought, okay, wonder if they'll make delicious jelly. And I looked it up on the internet, and they said yes, it does. So I am going to follow the recipe that they've given me. So what I did last night was that I took all the seeds out and sprinkled it with sugar so that overnight it could start to macerate. And what I'm going to do is, because of the fact that the seeds of the Muscadine grapes are very, very thick and sometimes a little hard to chew, we're going to blend these. So I'm going to get this all stirred up and blended, and I'm going to see if we can make some Muscadine jelly. So let's see what we can do. All right, I've got everything nice and mixed. And I'm going to place this into my blender. Don't know how it's going to go, so this is a science project. So I'm going to fill this up about halfway. And we're just going to play around with it. I'm not even sure that I'm going to try to worry about water bath canning it yet. If it goes well, then guess what? I certainly will. All right, so I've got it about half full, and I'm only doing it half full because I want to see how those the thick skins are going to do. So I've got all that in. Let's put it here, and let's see what we get. All right.
Okay.
I'm talking. We've got a beautiful color. Oh man, that is so pretty. So let me pour these into a pot. Alrighty, look at that pretty color. Now this is just a little bit lighter because we had a lot more sugar in it. But what I'm going to do, and I definitely don't want this all over my apron. Let me get this open. I'm going to pour this into our pot. Okay, and there we go. That's blended. Put that in there. Got the blender parts. And let's unplug.
Help you get it fixed.
Help you get what fixed?
My car.
Huh?
My car.
Oh, he knows where to go?
Yeah.
Ah, good.
Where's the vinegar?
Outside, right there by the door. Look left. Walk outside. Look left. It's right there. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is to bring this up to a simmer. And once we bring it up to a simmer, let me taste a little bit. That's pretty sweet, but I think I'm going to have to add a couple more cups of sugar to it. Let's measure out some extra sugar. Good, but it needs maybe another cup. Okay, we've got an extra cup of sugar that we've added in. You know, I told you toward the beginning of this video that I thought I might not can the Muscadine jelly. And the reality of it is that by the time you go through the work of making the jelly, it doesn't take that long to actually can the jelly. So I've got the jars, I've got the container. I just need to take a moment and put it all together. And so before you leave today, we're going to have beautiful jars of Muscadine grape jelly. Now, I went ahead and added the rest of the sugar because according to the recipe, I had 3 cups of my Muscadine grapes. I'm going to add in at least 5 cups of sugar that I'm going to bring to a boil. We're going to get all this nice and hot. And then I'm also going to have off to the side just a touch of butter, because later on, if it really starts to foam, then I'll drop in a tablespoon of butter, and that will help to take that foaming away. All right, so let's let this come up to a boil. And once we do that, we'll be ready to go from there. I decided if I was going to go through all of this, I might as well do a little water bath canning. So I have a heavy towel. This is just a heavy hand towel that I'm going to place in my soup pot. I'm going to place it down in the bottom because what that's going to do is that it's going to keep my jars from touching the very bottom of the pot where it's going to get extremely hot. Now, I'm going to fill this with water. I'm going to put my jars in and let them bubble. Now I'm going to place my clean jars in and let them stand because I want these to get sanitized in the hot water. So I'm filling them as we place them in. And let's see, I think I have a couple more. So I'll get those in. And once I have all the jars in, I'll continue to fill. Now all of this is going to have to boil for at least 10 minutes to make sure that those jars, I'm going to put the lids in, everything is going to be in. Okay, I've got at least an inch above the jars, so let me get this over to the stove. Now I have the jars and the lids in my canner, and this is my makeshift canner, which is just a soup pot with a towel in the bottom. And it's going to start bubbling away. I'll put the top on it and let it come to a boil. Now here's a tip. One thing you want to remember is to add a bit of vinegar into your boiling water. The reason for doing that is that it's going to help keep everything nice and clean. So I'm going to place about a cup of just white vinegar into our pot. And you will thank me later because your jars, everything is going to be so nice and clean. All right, we've got that good bubble going. And I'm going to use my spoon and just start to take off some of the foam. Now, just in case you're wondering, the reason why we're removing the foam is because we want a nice, clear jelly, and we don't want it to be cloudy. Now, you may not get all of the foam off, but let's get as much off as we can. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, I'm going to turn it off. Give everything a good stir. Let's get our jars out and get everything set up and ready to load. Okay, let's do the first one. I'm going to take the first jar out. I couldn't find my jar lifter. Pour out the hot water and sit it there. Okay, I'll take the first scoop. We want to leave about 1/4 of an inch at the top. Let's see how we did. Pretty good. And I'm going to take my spurtle and just run around the sides to make sure there's no bubbles. And we'll take out a lid. It's nice and hot. Place it on top. Whoop! Before I do that, I need to wipe this off. Make sure it's nice and clean so we'll get a good seal. Okay, now let's put that lid on. There we go. You can see if, this isn't always an exact science, but it's close. Let's get our ring. And we're going to do it finger tight. Then we're going to take it. See if I can do it with this, because I could not find my lifter. And we're going to try to put this back in without making a mess. Remember, we want to get the bubbles out. Run that around the side. Let's clean it off. And these are very hot. It's not a good time to have the babies close. Your hot lid on. And your band. Let me just say here that I would not advise a newbie to canning to do this without the jar lifter, because of the fact that these jars can so easily slide. And my hands have a little asbestos, so because of that, I can handle if I have to touch this water. But I used a little makeshift in order to get it done. But please make sure that you have a jar lifter before you start this project. This is all I had left out of all of that we put into those jars. All of the jars were perfectly filled and they're in the water bath canner. I'm just waiting on the 10 minutes. Now, what we're going to do with this is nice and thick, and I am going to get a cracker and we're going to give it a taste. This is very tasty, and after blending, the texture is just right. One more. And once this cools, it's going to set up quite nicely.
This jelly is quite warm because we just got it into the jars. And this is just a little bit that was left over. So it is pretty hot. But you know, the thing of it is that when you look at the spoon, you're going to see that it clings to the spoon. That's a great sign, because once it cools, then this jelly is going to set up just the way we want it. Here's the part we've waited for. We have allowed our jars to water bath can at a rolling boil for a full 10 minutes. And now we're going to take them out, put them out on a towel, and let them sit for 24 hours. Now, what we should start to hear is a little popping noise of each of the lids as they seal. As they cool, they'll seal. And if they don't, then I have a choice. I can either put it back into the water bath canner, can it for another 10 minutes, or I can just put it directly into the refrigerator. But in this case, the jar is actually sealed. So I'm very pleased with that, even though we had the little snafu of not having my jar lifter.
Well, it's been 24 hours and I came back to check to make sure that all of the jars were sealed, and they are. And I'm so happy about that. Now, the cool thing is that all I have to do now is just date them, put them in a nice cool shelf, and keep them there until later. Now, one of these jars actually is going in the refrigerator because we have company coming. I want them to have something absolutely special, and it's going to be this Muscadine jelly. So I hope you've enjoyed the journey. And to Miss Denise, yes, I can. See you soon.